Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ, the rich get richer. Well, that's not breaking news. The news is the fact that Yoshinobu Yamamoto is going to the LA Dodgers. The Dodgers win the sweepstakes because there were several teams in on Yamamoto, including the Yankees and Mets. The Japanese pitcher headed to LA to play alongside his Japanese teammate from the World Baseball Classic, Shohei Ohtani. The Dodgers have now spent over $1 billion in the past 2 weeks between Ohtani and Yamamoto. The contract for 12 years, $325 million, largest contract for a pitcher in Major League Baseball history, topping Garrett Cole's deal with the Yankees by $1 million. And for reaction, welcome in CBS Sports MLB writer Matt Snyder. Matt, Yamamoto to the Dodgers, the rich get richer. Your reaction? I'm not surprised. I feel bad for the teams like the Yankees and Mets who really needed Yamamoto. For the Dodgers, it's just a case, again, of the rich getting richer as he joins Shohei Ohtani. This is sort of silly.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it was probably always going to be between the Yankees and the Dodgers. And I know I came on here and I predicted with you the Yankees. I think it was just because I wanted to say Yamamoto for the offseason, really. It's not that surprising that he chose the Dodgers. And also, if you remember, after the Ohtani sighting, we talked about, hey, are the Dodgers the best team in baseball? And I said no, because look at that rotation. At the time, it was Walker Buehler coming off Tommy John surgery, Bobby Miller, who was a rookie last year for about half the season, and that was about it. It was a bunch of question marks. Well, since then, they've traded for Tyler Glasnow, and now they've signed Yamamoto. That looks a lot more like an elite level rotation there when you think about what can Walker Buehler be once he's fully acclimated back from the Tommy John surgery. What can Yamamoto be once he is fully acclimated to the majors in his trip here stateside? Bobby Miller in his second year won't be thought of as a frontline starter because he's going to be the 4. Tyler Glasnow is slotted up as a frontline starter. So this is a much more well-rounded ball club now than right after the Dodgers signed Ohtani. It's an absolutely loaded team because you could make the argument that they're going to have the 3 top position players next year. I don't think they will because you've still got Ronald Acuna Jr., you've still got Juan Soto in there. But Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, ridiculous. Now you go to the rotation, 2 frontline starters in Yamamoto and Glasnow. Walker Buehler's capable of being a frontline starter coming off Tommy John surgery. And Bobby Miller, at times, looked like a frontline starter in his rookie year.
All right, so we know that Ohtani's not going to pitch next season, just be able to hit coming back from the arm injury. So we won't get to see Yamamoto and Ohtani in the same rotation until 2025. When you talk about Yamamoto and what his ability is, let me give you the context here, and you know this. He's won 3 straight Sawamura Awards. That's the equivalent of the Cy Young in Major League Baseball. No other Japanese pitcher that jumped to Major League Baseball won 3 of those awards. Masahiro Tanaka won 2. Yu Darvish, Daisuke Matsuzaka, and Hideo Nomo each won 1. So what does that tell you about the ability of Yamamoto?
Well, I mean, that league keeps getting better and better. I remember back when Hideo Nomo first came over, the thought was it's essentially quadruple A, which is, in layman's terms, it's basically between triple A and the majors. In recent years, it's starting to get closer and closer to the major leagues. It is the second best league in the world. That's very widely accepted. And he had a 1.16 ERA last year. That's just silly. We're talking about a guy who's probably already one of the top 5 pitchers in the world. Now, I know he hasn't thrown a pitch in Major League Baseball, which is the top league, and it might take a second, and there will be some growing pains, but look at the year Kodai Senga had last year for the Mets. He was very good. Toward the end of the year, you could start to see kind of the ace emerging there. He's not nearly as good, or he was not in MPB as Yamamoto was. And the other thing that comes on top of this, and this is why the dollar figure is so much higher, it's because Yamamoto is only 25 years old. A lot of these pitchers coming over were 28, 29, 30. Yamamoto's 25. So he might not even be to his prime yet. And we've seen the Dodgers unlock extra potential and guys help them hit extra gear for years. That's scary to think about if they can do that in a dude who had a 1.16 ERA in Japan last year. Come on.
All right, so the Yankees were reported to have offered 10 years, $300 million. They get outbid by the Dodgers. Where does that leave the team like the Yankees and the Mets, who were looking for that frontline ace to join their rotation?
Well, first of all, come on, Yankees. You can't be in second place on the bidding. You've got to outbid the Dodgers here. Once you're already at 300, what's another 26 to go up there? I mean, are we really that worried about Garrett Cole's ego that you can't go over that? Regardless, They could go for a reunion with Jordan Montgomery. They're very familiar with him. He really came into his own down the stretch for the Rangers last year, and the postseason showed that he can throw like a frontline starter in the playoffs and in the World Series. That'd be a nice righty-lefty 1-2 punch there with Garrett Cole and Jordan Montgomery. Carlos Rodon surely can't have as bad of a season as he had last year. Nestor Cortez was hurt last year. The Yankees added Juan Soto to the offense with Aaron Judge. Anthony Rizzo had concussion problems ruin his season last year. The offense should be a lot better. The pitching should be a lot better, even if they don't go get Jordan Montgomery. But if they were willing to throw $300 million at somebody, surely they've got enough money in the coffers there to go for somebody like Jordan Montgomery. Or maybe it's something like a lottery ticket with Lucas Giolito. Marcus Stroman has been in New York before, pitching for the Mets, obviously, as an all-star. There are still options out there on the starting pitching market. I don't know if they would want to go for Blake Snell, but he's sitting there as well.
Yeah, it remains to be seen what those teams will do next. No deferrals in this contract for Yamamoto. We know about the deferrals for Shohei Ohtani. When you look at this big picture, what does this mean for the Dodgers and for baseball? Because this feels similar to what the Miami Heat did, right? With like LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. And look, we saw what the Mets did last offseason. They spent a lot of money, but they didn't necessarily get top-of-the-line players. And they have good players. Don't get me wrong. Don't mix my words here. But they have gone out and get 3 of the top players on the free agent market. Ohtani, Yamamoto, Glasnow. I mean, this is a super team, Matt.
Yeah, I'm not as worried about it because baseball is so much different than basketball. In basketball, if you could have one player dominate the ball every time down the court, you could have him guard the best player on the other side of the court. In baseball, you can only bat once every 9 times. And if you look at that Dodgers lineup last year, remember, Ohtani is not replacing a nobody. He's replacing J.D. Martinez, who was an all-star with over 30 home runs, over 100 RBIs. Betts and Freeman didn't do anything at all in the playoffs. And again, Ohtani's just replacing J.D. Martinez, not a nothing in the lineup. It was a very top-heavy lineup. It's still a very top-heavy lineup. The back half of that Dodgers lineup is not imposing. And so they're going to get plenty of at-bats. And in the rotation, like I said, the cabinet was almost empty before they went out and they traded for Glasnow and then extended him and they signed Yamamoto. So these were kind of moves that were shoring up depth, if nothing else. I don't think it's as scary as it looks just scratching the surface, as a lot of other people might think. Big picture-wise, I would be a lot more scared about the Dodgers rotation in 2025 than right now because now Walker Buehler's a year removed from Tommy John surgery. Bobby Miller's got 2 years under his belt instead of 1. Yamamoto's gotten a full year in America. Now he knows what to expect. Now he's fully adjusted. And now you throw Ohtani in the middle of that rotation. 2025 is a lot more scary than 2024 if you're looking at the Dodgers, and that's saying something.
10 years of Ohtani, 12 years of Yamamoto. How many World Series titles do they have to win to be considered successful in their time in L.A.?
It's probably got to be multiple, right? Because if you only get one, then everybody's gonna say only
and not one, not two, not 3, not 4, like what LeBron said. Like that's my point.
Okay, so let's say you just 12 years Yamamoto. We'll go in that. We'll go with the 12 years then. 2. Do you think 2's enough?
I think they got to win 3.
Does it seem like it?
I think they got to win 3.
It's definitely more than 1. I think we got to say 3 would be acceptable. It would be adequate, but it wouldn't blow you away.
$1 billion, Matt.
Yeah, 4 is probably the range where you say, yeah, that's exactly what they were shooting for. I mean, so 3 would be acceptable, adequate. 1 would probably be a failure.
Yeah, it would be. We'll see what happens, but my goodness.
And they don't even want to think about 0. They don't even want to think about 0.
No, of course not. But they're giving out a lot of zeros to Ohtani and Yamamoto, their biggest free agent offseason ever. I mean, my goodness, they spent over $1 billion as on this night they win the Yamamoto sweepstakes. 12 years, $325 million, the largest contract for a pitcher in Major League Baseball history. Matt Snyder with his perspective here on CBS Sports HQ. Matt, thanks.